Hello kids! Welcome back to Reading for Vocabulary. I'm your host, Brian Stuart. In this lesson, we're starting a new level, Level C, right? And in Level C, we're talking about a lot of different subjects. We'll talk about science, so some lessons will be about science. Some lessons will be about social studies. Some lessons will be about health, so those are important, right? Of course, they're all important. Fine arts will also be the subject of other lessons. Fine arts like painting and sculpture and artists, right? Math, well, math is interesting. We can take a look at some lessons about math and a new subject, entertainment. So that will be interesting too. Also, something new with Level C is that some lessons will have short videos in them. So hopefully that will be fun and interesting to look at those. So, shall we get started with lesson number 1? You bet. Let's get going. Okay, number 1, lesson 1. We're talking about animals, and our subject, of course, is science, right? Especially biology, the study of life. So, animals, we're going to be looking at the name of the unit is In a Land Before Time. Actually, the name of the lesson. In a land before time. What does that mean? Well, think about it. When was time thought of, right? Human beings invented time, so this is like before humans, a long time ago. The earth is millions and millions and millions of years old. Humans haven't always been on the earth. So what was the earth like? What kind of animals lived on the earth before human beings? So in this lesson, we can learn about dinosaurs from their bones, because dinosaurs lived on the earth a long time before human beings came about. Okay, let's take a look here. We have a video for you. What exactly is a dinosaur? You probably know what a dinosaur is, right? There's many television shows, animation shows and movies about dinosaurs, right? You've probably seen some of those. Of course, a dinosaur is like a big, terrible lizard, right? It looks like this. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's kind of, oh my gosh. Look at that. That's a huge dinosaur. That's kind of scary, isn't it? Wah! Is he gone? Oh, he's still there. Okay, he's gone. We got rid of the dinosaur. Okay. Dinosaurs were really, really scary. We're very, very lucky that there are no more dinosaurs because they're huge. Some dinosaurs were huge. We'll learn more about dinosaurs in this lesson. Okay, but as we get started, of course, we need to learn some vocabulary. Let's take a look. The first vocabulary word, the definition, a hot place with a lot of plants. So if you think of a hot place, there are many plants there. What do we call that type of environment? We say it is a jungle. A jungle. And you can think if you go south or if you go to Southeast Asia, if you go to Vietnam, Thailand, the Philippines, those are very hot places. There are many plants there. They have many jungles in those places. A hot place with a lot of plants. Jungle. Okay, next one. Oh, this is the opposite of a jungle, right? It's very cold. There's a lot of snow on the ground. But look at what happens when somebody walks across the snow. They're making marks. So this word is a mark made by a foot, right? When a person or an animal is walking in the snow, in the sand, in the mud, what do they leave behind them? They leave behind them a footprint. 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 This person is leaving many footprints behind them. Remember, footprint is singular, hana, right? If you say footprint, you mean Hanuman. If you say footprints, you mean manayo, right? Many. So footprints. Be careful. Sometimes students will make that mistake. Footprint is only one, but you can't leave just one footprint. right? Unless you're jumping really far, right? So you leave footprints behind you. Next one. Ooh, what's this? This looks very old, doesn't it? This, of course, is the bone around your brain. This is a person's head, someone who died a long time ago. The only thing that's left is the bone. Bones last for a long time. Skin, hair, organs, those things dissolve and they go away after somebody dies. But the bone stays for a long time. So the bone around your brain, what do we call this bone? We call this bone a skull. Now that's a little hard to pronounce, right? S-K and L-L at the end. S-K, ska, ska, and L-L just L. So we have the U, skull, skull. So we say that word as skull. Now, a lot of times when we see the skull, we think of death, right? That's a symbol for death. You guys know pirates, right? The pirate flag is a skull and crossbones. What that means is they take two bones and they cross them, right? Now, I'm not a very good artist, but I'll try to make a skull. No, I'll just make the crossbones. I can't really draw a skull. Am I doing okay? Yeah, I seem to be doing okay. It's kind of like a bone here, right? So the crossbones. So they'll have a flag and they'll have a skull on the top and they'll have crossbones. Skull and crossbones is a very common flag for pirates. If you see a pirate ship, they have a black flag and a white skull and crossbones on it. So skull is usually associated with death because pirates are bad guys, right? Okay. 4. The weather conditions in a certain place. So if you're talking about the weather conditions, it's hot and sunny or it's cold and snowy. How do we describe those conditions with one word? We say, what is the climate like? What is the climate, what is the climate like? Right? It's very common if you're talking to a friend, you make a friend on the internet or with email through your school, a program, and you meet a friend in Africa and you want to exchange emails with that friend. Or you meet a friend in Finland and you can ask them, what is the climate like in your country? The person in Africa will probably say hot and humid. The person in Finland will probably say cold and snowy. So what are the weather conditions in a certain place? Okay. Number 5, to continue to live. If something continues to live, they endure, they survive, right? I can't say it without saying the word, right? Survive. That's a little difficult word to say. Remember, survive. It's two sounds. 1, 2. Survive. Survive. So when you put them together, survive. One more time, survive. So survive means to continue to live, not die. So if something doesn't die, it continues to live. And this is for individuals, but it's also for groups too, right? Of course, individuals die all the time, but groups of animals might survive for a very long time, okay? 6, interesting and special. Very interesting, very special city, very beautiful city, right? What do we say? It's remarkable. Now this is a long word, right? Remarkable. If you're going to split it up into sounds, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 syllables. Remarkable. Remarkable. And you know, remark, you could probably put it there too. Remark. You don't have to say remarkable, but you know, it depends on how you pronounce it. So you can say, if you put them all together, it sounds remarkable. Remarkable. Okay, one more time. Remarkable. Remarkable, interesting, and special. Okay, let's move on to number 7. to keep from being ruined. Of course, if you leave food open to the air, it will begin to smell, it will go bad. But you want to keep it from being ruined. You want to keep it in its original state or close to its original state. What do? You preserve it. Preserve. So again, we have two sounds, preserve. Now this looks like serve, but don't say preserve, say preserve. Preserve. Okay? And that is a verb, to keep something from being ruined, to preserve something. So you are going to keep it in the original state so it doesn't get old. If you want to keep food for a long time, you put it in a can, you preserve it. So you can eat it 2 months later, 4 months later, maybe even a year later. But even food in a can, you can't keep it forever, right? You got to eat it sometime because it will get ruined after a certain amount of time. But you can preserve it for a long time in a can. 8. Well, it's a strange looking animal, right? What animal is this? Do you know? Maybe you learned from history or from lessons in school. What's wrong with this pen? Oh, here we go. Dodo. It's a dodo bird. Have you heard of the dodo bird before? The dodo bird, well, that's weird. The dodo bird went extinct. And that's our word, extinct. So when people think of the word extinct, it's very common to think of the dodo bird. It's a very famous bird that died when human beings came to the island where it lived. Extinct means no longer in existence. The human beings killed all the dodo birds, and they brought dogs with them. The dogs also hunted the birds. So in a very short time, all the dodo birds went extinct. So we can use the word go, this is past tense, right? To go extinct, the dodo bird went extinct, past tense, okay? No longer in existence is extinct. And many animals have become extinct over the history of the earth. The earth's history is very, 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 very long, and many animals have gone extinct, many types of animals. 9. Sometimes, of course, animals will leave evidence that they existed, and that evidence is their remains. The remains. What is left behind? The remains of an animal or plant. So it's an animal or a plant. Not just animal, but also plants leave remains, and you can find them in the rocks. Usually the animal or plant dies in mud, and the mud is compressed under pressure, and that mud becomes rock. Well, the imprint of the animal's body or the plant's body is left or made into the rock. And these are very neat if you find them. What am I talking about? I'm talking about fossils. It's very cool, very neat if you find a fossil in the rock. So next time you're in the country, next time you're in walking through the mountains or walking through a field and you see some interesting rocks, take a look at them. See if you can find any fossils. Who knows? Maybe you'll find an interesting fossil. Okay, next word. This one is to be present in a place. This is a picture. It looks like Mars. Of course, many scientists have been wondering if water exists on Mars. So if water is present in a place like water is on Mars, then water exists on Mars. And of course, we now know that at the North Pole and the South Pole, you can't see it because Mars is tilted like this, you can't see the South Pole, but at the North Pole, there's frozen water, ice, right? So there is water. Water does exist on Mars, okay? Number 11, a small plant with many branches. So these are very common. We see these around buildings and in parks. People like to grow them because they form like a small wall. So, people don't go over that. Of course, we call it a bush. A bush. Now, of course, these are little bushes. A lot of bushes in a line you call a hedge. A hedge, right? And this is like a hedge. It's a line of bushes that people will make in a park or near a building to, like a small little wall. But there's as many bushes. A small plant with many branches, we call it a bush. Not a tree, right? We can say there's like two main types of plants we can see easily. One is a tree. Of course, a tree grows very big. I got a mushroom cloud here. Okay, that's a tree. And then, of course, you have a little bush, right? So a bush and a tree, right? So we talk about bushes and we talk about trees. Those are the two main types of plants. Of course, you have other types, but usually we see trees and bushes. Number 12, a climbing plant. This is another type of plant. Climbing plant, what does it mean? A plant that climbs? Yes, because these branches or long, thin stems, right? You can say a branch is like a tree branch. It's very thick. It's very strong. But some plants are they have arms or branches that are very small and they're not strong. You can bend them. And we call those stems, okay? So long, thin stems. And this is a plant with long, thin stems that grow and climb up walls. So it's a climbing plant. We call it a vine. So on some very old buildings, especially old brick buildings, you can see that they're covered with a green plant because the plant, it's called a vine, has grown up and they hook. They've got little hooks on the stems and they hook onto the wall and they climb up the wall. Very nice looking, very neat. 13, to wind together. So if you take some dead branches, some stems, and you wind them together like this, what are you doing? It's a verb, to twist, to wind together. You can wind plants together. You can wind I'm too old, I can't do it. You can wind your arms together, right? You can wind rope together. You can wind or you can twist many things. So you can twist your arms, you can twist rope, you can twist your hair, you can twist something together or to wind together. 14, oh, he's having a lot of fun, isn't he? Don't you wish you could have fun like that? Well, you can, but don't tell your mom I told you to go out and play in the mud, okay? Wet dirt, of course, I just said it, it's mud. And sometimes in Korea, I forgot where it was, I'm not sure the name, I'm a little worried if I mispronounce it. Is Boryung Mud Festival, is that right? Yeah, in Korea, you have a mud festival at Boryung-shi, or Boryung place, I'm not sure. But many people will go there and they'll play in the mud, right? During the summer, it's a nice thing to do. It's cool and it's wet. So people, it's kind of like water, playing in the water. So it's mud and people will play in it. People will throw it at each other. Of course, normally, don't step in it because if you're wearing nice clothes, your mother will get angry if you get mud on your clothes. Okay. Next word. An animal that lived long ago but is now extinct. That's one of the words we learned before. Extinct. It doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. It did not survive. And of course we saw this animal before, right? The video that I was scared of before. That's a scary animal, right? Of course, it is a dinosaur. It's an animal that lived long ago but is now extinct. It doesn't exist anymore. Whew. Because if it did, we would be in big danger, right? There would be too many of them. Dinosaur, dinosaur, three sounds. Dinosaur. It looks like dinosaur, but we say dinosaur, dinosaur, okay? Some people can say dinosaur, but most common it's dinosaur, dinosaur. Okay, another word here, a place where you can see many important things. So if you want to learn about things that existed a long, long time ago, or things that exist now, but usually they're from history. And people will take them and display them in certain buildings. What is that building called? It's called a museum. 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 A place where you can see many important things. So here we see things from ancient Egypt, right? A long time ago, we can see the mummies, right? And you can see mummies in a museum. You can see things from your country that existed a long time ago in a museum. In natural museums, natural history museums, we can see animals that existed a long time ago in natural history museums. Okay, let's go over exercise here. The first exercise has to do with antonyms. Antonym. What is an antonym? Antonym means, oh, let's draw that line here a little bit more slowly. Antonym means words that have opposite, opposite, opposite meaning. It's like pandero, right? Pandero, opposite meaning, antonym. So our instruction, our direction is match the words in the box here with their antonyms listed below. So these words are the opposite of these words. That's what we have to do. We have to match the opposites, okay? The words are preserved, right? We learned the word preserve. We learned that it was a verb. So now it's used with an ed, so it's past tense, like preserved. They have been preserved. Next one, jungle, jungle. Next one, survive, survive. And last one, extinct, extinct. Okay, what are the opposites of these words? Number one is alive. What is the opposite meaning of alive? Something that is not alive anymore. It's dead, and maybe all of them are dead. Then we can say extinct. If they're extinct, they're dead. They're gone. No more. But if they're alive, they continue to exist. Okay. Next one, desert. What is a desert? A desert is a hot place, but it has no plants. No plants grow in a desert. It's just dirt or just sand. There's no plants. So what's the opposite of a desert? We could say it's a jungle, because a jungle has many, many plants. There's a lot of water in the jungle. There is no water in the desert, or very little water in the desert. 3, die. So that's a sad word, right? Die. So what's the opposite of die? If something dies, right, it doesn't what? It doesn't survive any longer. It's not alive, right? By the way, die and alive, those are also antonyms, aren't they? Die and survive are also antonyms. Okay. The last one here, ruined. If something is ruined, it's been spoiled, it has changed from its original condition. But if you keep something in the original condition, it doesn't change, you have preserved it. It's not ruined, it is preserved. It's not ruined, it's preserved. Okay? So those are the antonyms, the opposite meaning of these words. Now our next exercise is talking about synonyms, right? Before we talked about antonyms, now we're going to talk about synonyms. What does synonyms mean? Synonym is same. The same meaning. So a synonym is a word or two words that have the same or similar. Bistandeo, right? Maybe not tokateo, but bistandeo. Okay? So maybe not exactly the same, but similar meanings. Okay? Same meanings. Match the words in the box with their synonyms listed below. So these words in the box, we need to match them with the word that has the same or similar meaning. Similar. So same or similar meaning. Okay, let's look at the words in the box first. We have skull. Skull. Next word, footprints. Footprints. The next word is remarkable. Remarkable. The next one is climate. Climate. Okay? Now we have to match these words in the box to the same or similar meanings of these words here. The first word is amazing. Amazing. It's really amazing. It amazes you. It impresses you. It's really exceptional. What do we say is a similar meaning? We would say, of course, remarkable. Remarkable is similar to amazing. If you think, wow, that's amazing, it is remarkable. Okay, the similar meaning. Number 2 is head. Okay, so head, not the same meaning, but similar meaning for head. What's in your head, right? What is that bone there? We could say it's the skull. So skull isn't the same as head, but it is similar. Similar. Skull and head are similar. 3, weather. So we're talking about the weather in a certain place, especially. We're talking about what? What word has to do with weather? Of course, this word means weather. Climate. So climate. Weather is climate. Okay, the last one is marks. Now, when we learned this word in the vocabulary, we said marks that are left by feet, right? If somebody's walking along, especially in the snow or the sand, they leave marks in the snow or the sand. What do we call those marks? We call those marks yogita. Right here, footprints, right? Sorry. Yogita. We call them footprints. Okay, so marks are footprints that we leave behind us by our feet. Okay, well that wraps up the vocabulary section. We're going to take a short break here. We'll come back and look at the reading, so don't go away.